Dad.
How old are you guys?
Oh, how old do you think we are? Wait, who do you think is older?
Phil's older.
You think he's older?
Yeah. No?
You know, most people say that.
Jeez.
I'm 23, he's 27.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
So you guys don't even remember Chippendale Rescue Rangers, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah. Alright, good.
Yep.
Good
We had
Christian
the
man.
magazine.
That's right.
The magazine, or what was it?
Book?
It's a cartoon.
Book.
You guys,
Okay.
you're a bunch of fakers.
Not cartoon.
A bunch of fakers.
No, okay, but here's my story. I remember them, I just don't remember where I've seen them from.
Okay. Well, there's this thing called TV.
Right.
Right. Alright. Back.
Fox News?
Oh yeah, cartoon. Okay, I remember that now. See, we didn't really grow up with TV and stuff.
So we were in Disneyland. They had these whole mugs, and my wife got this for me for a surprise because I saw them. It's like a whole series of them. This might be before your time, but it was like Darkwing Duck, DuckTales,
DuckTales!
DuckTales.
The
Okay, right.
days, come on.
Right. So and they had all
Tom
those
and Jerry.
mugs. It was no,
Okay.
Tom and Jerry.
All
But
right.
they had a whole
That's a good
like
show.
a whole line of these mugs, and she got me one. I'm like, well, now I need the whole set. I need to go back to Disneyland
There
just to
you
get
go.
the whole set.
Of course.
Get some
Why not?
DuckTales.
But later you found out that the real magic comes from Israel.
That's yeah. That's a real mug.
Is that the mug you use to like prepare your sermons? What's your go-to mug?
I like to put water in there, and like in the minute I
We're
put water
thirsty
in there,
more.
when the minute I put water in there, it becomes like holy water,
Wine.
and I like to drive down the road and baptize people. Roll down my windows, baptize.
I thought you guys there like turned into wine, but
That's
Turn your water into wine.
That's-
speaking of wine.
so what church were you guys plugged in at? Like
Back home.
denomination?
It's Mennonite.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it's
that's,
like
yeah.
pretty hardcore.
Mhm.
Not to the extent of like Amish, you know,
Yeah.
but pretty
Very
like,
conservative.
No,
And
TV.
it's just
Like we grew up with movies, with no TV,
no TV.
a computer.
Wait, hold that up. You grew up with movies?
Yeah, so not TV show. Not you couldn't have like we didn't have cable or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Untan out.
Gotcha.
No, so you couldn't watch shows.
VHS and DVDs.
Yeah, so you guys must have been like
But PG only.
rebel Mennonites because you obviously knew about DuckTales and Chippendale Rescue
Right.
Rangers, but
Right.
so how do you know about these
So
shows?
the thing with that, you can get
sinners?
those on DVD at libraries.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
any like Tom and Jerry,
Gotcha.
All that.
DVD.
Yep.
So we would watch TV shows, just not on TV.
Gotcha.
Which actually, you know, was kind of nice in the fact that we didn't have commercials.
Oh yeah.
So
That is the funniest thing too. So we have Hulu. You know,
Mhm.
we do Hulu
Yep.
Hulu Live. You know.
do you guys get doesn't the Disney Plus come with that?
Yes.
Disney
So
Plus.
did you get that hooked up?
We got Disney Plus.
What?
Mhm.
Is it okay? Is it what it's cracked up to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Huh.
It is. So
Because I was like, okay, Disney Plus, like, is it gonna have all of Disney stuff, or is it just gonna be like?
I was looking.
yeah,
I was looking through it, and there's nothing on there
that you can't find.
that I can't find.
Really?
Wow.
Every movie, TV show,
Of Disney. It's amazing.
everything. It was like, oh my gosh. I was telling my wife, I was like, it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, you know, every parent across this country right now just put their kids to bed and put on Disney Plus. It's like,
Oh, man.
it's
I
pretty
forget.
good.
I saw a statistic of like how many people subscribed to. It was like a couple million or more. Of
Oh, I'm sure,
In
yeah.
one day,
Oh yeah.
it just blew up. It's crazy.
Disney is, of course, stupid rich.
No,
You
yeah.
know, well, they just got
Way richer.
ridiculously more.
And everybody wants to collab with them.
Oh,
You know, like Hulu and Netflix.
So-
I'm going like,
let this sink in. This is incredible. We were, like I said, we were at Disneyland, and we were talking to a lady that works there, and I believe her son worked for Coca-Cola, and you have Disney, and right next to Disney is a Coca-Cola plant.
Sure.
You know, and they have a contract with Disney, Coke does, that you guys can only sell Coke products, and they pay them a certain amount of money to only sell Coke products. The amount of
Interesting.
money that Coke gives Disney to only use Coke products. She didn't give me the number, but she said it covers all of payroll and just like so much of it. So basically everything that is purchased at
Disney World.
Disneyland. Disney. Everything that's purchased at Disneyland goes straight into their pocket. It's profit. So think about it. Every ticket that is sold every day, every churro that someone buys,
insane.
every piece of
just because Coke
memorabilia,
pays, just to let them use
Coke there. So everything, every souvenir, every churro, every ticket in, everything is just straight profit. Let that sink in.
That's
How much money is ridiculous. And now throw a little Disney Plus on there.
Yeah.
And CEO of Disney is
he's
CEO of Disney. He's living in Ireland.
Yeah,
He lives in the castle. Yeah, we're just neighbors. Yeah.
That's insane.
That's awesome.
Here's something I learned. Did I tell you this? Maybe I did. But Amazon just hit $1 trillion the other week, and they're trying to put 4,000 satellites in the sky within 300 miles of the orbit, like in the orbit, lower orbit.
For what was the reason for putting
For satellite internet.
Ah.
So potentially, my follower and I talked about this. It was like maybe it's a revelation thing. Because potentially, like 98% of the world's population will have access to internet like that.
Wow.
So like pretty much from every inch of the earth, everybody will be able to have access to each other at one point in time.
So
Let's see
if
what
you have $1 trillion, that's what
what
if
you
I had
do.
$1 trillion, that's what I want. Which
Because
raises the question: if you had $1 trillion, what would you do with it?
There you go.
put satellites in the sky for internet.
That's what you would do too.
Because
What's
regularly,
that guy's name? Jeff Bezos or
Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. You guys are like one and the same.
same person. Plus, he,
Makes sense.
of course, he already has his own like rocket. What do you call that? A rocket
Launch pad or whatever.
Yeah, like he has a whole, not like, what is NASA? What do you call NASA?
I've always called it NASA.
but like,
A space.
yeah,
program?
space, like Jeff Bezos owns a space program pretty much.
Program. Huh. Wow.
And that's why
They're doing pretty good
Anyway.
for themselves too.
I'd say.
Amazon, Disney are doing
Dang.
okay.
Amazon's like up at the top of the world.
Hmm.
Anyway, happy Flexy Friday.
There we go. What an intro.
What an intro.
Good.
Yes.
It's been
Break
good.
the ice a little bit.
We're here with
Flexy Friday.
Flexy Friday.
It is. There you
Flexy
go.
Friday, all things F.
All things F. I mean,
What?
food,
Fun,
fellowship,
fun, yeah,
Hey,
fun.
that's our life motto is all things F.
Okay. Okay.
flex, everything.
Freaking
like
flex,
faith.
faith.
I'm really
Red
questioning.
Raj.
I'm really.
Raj.
I'm really questioning what I stepped into right
No.
now. What is this?
Oh man.
We've been wanting to do this for a while. Rev Raj has been on our radar for a while. And now here we are. And we're just going to get into his life journey and glean from his wisdom in your life.
Well, this will go really quick then.
Okay, but
Very
first,
quick.
we have the
First.
first intense question.
Yes.
Personal, very deep.
First question. Alright. Get ready for this. If you were wait. If you were given an alpaca and you couldn't sell it or give it away,
Or kill it. You couldn't kill it.
what would you do with it?
Okay. I couldn't sell it.
Yep. Couldn't sell it or give it away.
It's just stuck with you.
It's just-
It's your
it's just
secret
there.
best friend.
Can't. What do you do?
I would. Is it a male or a female?
That's a good question.
Uh,
Wait, Jesus, answering the question with a question. Dang
man, that's a male.
Okay, well then I would buy a female. I would buy another.
Oh.
it. Okay.
And then I would breed them and I would have an alpaca farm. Is that alpaca or alpaca?
I don't actually
Alpaca?
know.
Is it tomato,
Alpaca.
tomato,
I always thought alpaca.
Let's go with
I think it's
alpaca.
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 Yeah.
I would
That's
start
a-
an
yeah,
alpaca
business
farm.
plan.
That would be a business, yeah. And then
Because you can sell the other ones that come with it, you just can't sell the one that you have now. So if you hey, that's biblical. Multiply.
That's what I would do. I would have an alpaca farm.
That is a genius answer. That might be my favorite answer.
So far.
I'm an entrepreneur.
At heart.
I'm
Getting
actually-
that hustle.
You said you're
How
not.
about that hustle?
At heart, I am.
Are you?
Yeah. I have great ideas, but
Yeah.
then I need
Wait,
just
have you ever
lazy
started
attention.
something like on the side, like, and it went horribly wrong, bad? Or?
Nope. Mm-mm.
You never done anything.
I have like great ideas, but it usually just stays there.
You
Like
never-
I don't actually want to do anything about it.
Oh.
You know, that takes effort.
So would it be all if you want like innovation? No, that means you would be doing it.
Yeah, but creative
Yeah, that's
knowledge.
what word.
Yeah, but that means I have to be doing it too. So
Yeah.
no, wonderful question though. That's a really
Yeah.
great.
That
Yeah.
was good.
It's deep, thought provoking.
Yeah, right?
Super deep.
Anyway, let's get on to the more interesting maybe ones.
So that's the first one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, just share a little bit about maybe your background, maybe your childhood experience growing up, family life. What was that like? How many siblings do you have?
Quick rundown.
School, maybe school. Did you
Yeah.
go to public school, private school,
Of who is Roger?
homeschool? First
Dayton?
job. You know, just
Yeah,
whatever
just
comes off the
all
top
of
of your
your-
head. Just
Is that how you say
whatever.
your name? Roger Dayton?
Yes.
So yeah, just like a little backstory of Roger
Yeah.
Dayton.
All right. Well,
Because really, we don't know that much about you.
I don't know
You're a
anything,
pastor.
yeah.
That's pretty much it. And we know you're a sinner and used to be a really bad sinner. Still, I mean, still.
and now I love Jesus.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so originally from California.
Oh, sorry.
I had to deal with that. We moved here like in the fourth or fifth grade.
Sure.
So this is home.
Yeah.
You know, but from California, I was
To Billings.
to Billings, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nice.
and grew up in a single parent household.
Okay.
I'm a love child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was a hookup night, and so my dad found out my mom was pregnant, and he pieced out
Really?
and moved to Montana. This is where
He moved to Montana.
yeah, my dad's family is originally from the Montana
Okay.
area, and so it was just my mom, and myself, and she raised me up in the church. I think it was at that moment she was like, well, she had her upbringing was in a Christian home, and
Okay.
but she of course
Sure.
went rogue a little bit, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden she has a baby, and what do I do? And I want to raise my kid in a Christian, and so I was raised in the church, and never known my dad, and didn't meet him until much later on in life, and there I started asking, obviously a lot of questions about my dad, and so the time came where my mom reached out and was like, hey, I think it's time that Raj meets you. And so I met my dad, and we flew up here to Montana, and from California to Montana just to meet him, and came back to California. And
So how old were you then?
probably like third grade, I think.
Third
When you
grade.
met him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. And so I stepped off the plane, and he was like, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like,
He's
"Nope."
excited.
And he's like, "I'm your dad." I was like, "Hi." So
Yeah.
so anyway, we come back home.
That's gotta be so.
met-
Is that super like weird?
It was a little
Yeah.
bit, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit as a some little kiddos in the third grade.
Yeah.
You don't really realize.
So you also don't know anything different. So then.
Yeah.
So it's
To me, it was almost like he was just some other guy,
right.
just some guy.
Just no connection.
I didn't
at
have
all.
a connection.
Sure.
Don't know him.
Do you even
saw
look like
a
him?
picture of him. A little bit. A little bit. So anyway, it's I probably look more like my mom than
Sure.
my dad.
Yeah.
So anyway, we come back home. We're in California, and I don't know, another year, several months later, I tell my mom, I was like, hey, I want to read our Bible, and so I go, and I was like, we should read this, because it's the red letters. That means that
Yeah.
Jesus said it, Mom.
Right.
And so she's like, okay, we open it up, and there's the red letters, and she reads the story where Jesus says you can't serve both God and money.
Yeah.
You can't serve both. It's
Right.
one or the other.
Right.
And so she closed that up, and I went off to bed. And my mom tells the story that she's sitting there and was like, "God, I know I serve money more than I serve you." As a single mom, never got any child support, never a dime of child support.
Wow.
Just her, never been married. So it's just me, my mom. She's raising me all by herself. She had a pretty incredible job, well off.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know I'm serving money. I know that's where my faith and hope is at, is in this. And I know this job is just killing me, but I can't say no to it because I'm a single parent.
Right. What do you do?
And she's like, and she just prayed. She's like, God, you're gonna have to fix this for me because I don't have the strength to say no to this job, and I don't have the strength to walk away. But I know spiritually it's eating me alive.
Yeah.
So God, you're gonna have to do something.
Huh.
I kid you not. The very next day, she walks into her job where she's this like branch manager at a bank, and they're like, "We're really sorry, we're laying you off. This
What?
whole branch is being shut down."
No way.
Which let that be a lesson, all
Holy
right?
smokes.
Be careful what you pray for, people. You know? And so yeah, she walked in there, got
That's
laid
crazy.
off. They gave her the severance, and she came
Wow.
home, and she's like, we're leaving California. And she's like, you have two choices, Rod. She totally left it up to me, a third grader. She's like,
Yeah.
you have two choices. We could either move to Montana, where you could continue on this relationship with your dad, or you could move to New York, and that's where my mom's side of the family is from.
Okay.
From New York, upstate New York, and you could be closer to Grandpa and,
Right.
and the rest of the family. It's totally up to you. And I'm sitting there in third grade, like,
Alright.
like Montana,
Yeah.
and so we moved to Montana. So I could
Yeah.
kind of start that relationship with my dad and my dad's side of the family, and so that's kind of how we got here. Yeah, from there, it's just kind of normal. Got plugged into school, and was plugged into the church until I was still plugged into church my whole life.
Sure.
But it was towards the very end of high school, early college, where I went rogue. It was all about drinking and girls and party
Pleasure.
life and whatever it is that I wanted.
Sure.
So Saturday night I'm out partying and drinking. Sunday morning I'm sitting in a pew at church.
Yeah.
And so I was playing the game,
Yeah.
playing that game. And growing up in the church, it's like, oh, I know how to read my Bible and I know how to pray.
All the right.
And I know how to put on a really good show. I could say all the right things. But the night before, I'm going crazy. I'm living that life. And that carried on for quite a while into college. And I was about my third year into MSUP. I was going to be a high school history teacher. I was doing my practicums and everything, and still drinking and partying and doing whatever I want. When I call it my divine spanking. God gave me a divine spanking, and everything just came crashing down. And I tell this to people. It's like living that lifestyle is like going the wrong way on a roundabout. You take a left on a roundabout. You can go around it. You can go around and not wreck. And you can keep going around, but you keep going around. You keep doing that every time. Eventually, you're gonna get tagged. Now I just kept going around and around and around.
That's really good.
I got tagged pretty good, and so and I came to a point of just brokenness and grabbed my Bible. I was sitting at Veterans Park one morning, late morning, early afternoon. Grabbed my Bible, and I was like, God, I need you to just speak to me. I need some direction in life. So just speak to me. And open it up, and as growing up in church, I know these stories, and so I look at that story, I'm like, I know that one, and I go there, like, God, speak to me, and I'm like, I'm flipping over because, I know that.
Right.
But then I got to, I came back to it, I saw a story, like, of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. And I'm like, I know that one, and I came back to it, and it's funny how God can, even those stories you've read a million times, can use little things, little words in there to speak to you in a new way.
Yeah.
And in there, Elijah said, "How long will you waver between two opinions?" He's speaking to to these Israelites who are caught up in following God, but following other gods.
Yeah.
You know, and they're playing that game I was playing. And Elijah's like, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If God is God, worship Him. If He's not, then don't."
Right.
But you can't go back and forth. And I was like, oh gosh. And then he rebuilds the altar because it was torn down, and I was thinking about my heart, you know, how it needs to be rebuilt. I tore it apart, my way, my lifestyle.
It's interesting, but in there because it's very similar, if not exact, to what your mom went through.
Yep.
Back in California.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I mean, essentially all of us.
Yeah,
as humans, but
you've got a rogue.
Exactly the same.
Yep.
Like I served money, then I can't serve two gods. I can't spend, the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So interesting.
It's good. Sometimes God intervenes with a way to break you, or divine spanking, whatever you want to use.
Kind of like that.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, divine spanking.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So that's it was in that moment where I'm like, okay, I was like, God, you win. It was a tug of war, if you will.
Yep.
Maybe whatever term you want to use, a boxing match between me and God, and God won.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, I'm done. I knew that I couldn't continue going to MSUB because all my friends were there. And I knew I couldn't continue to go there, but not live that lifestyle. I know I couldn't continue to go there and be friends with them. So I was like, I'm done. Like, I was doing my practicums. I was teaching. I was like a step away from graduating. And I was like, I'm done.
Really?
I can't do it because I know I can't. I'm not strong
That's
enough.
crazy. Yeah.
And so I ran away, if you will, from MSUB, and I was like, hey, there's a little Bible college down the road. Hillsong Christian College. You don't go there, because
so you were a student there.
Yeah, I was a student.
Really?
Yeah, so I basically started all over again.
Yeah.
At this point, I should have been a doctor for crying out loud for as many years as I went, just to get my undergrad. And so I basically started all over, and I was like, I have a heart to teach history. I was going to be a high school history teacher.
Yeah.
I have a heart to teach history, and God's like, you have skills and gifts to teach history, Raj. I want you to teach a different type of history. My history, this book, this scripture, and so I got plugged in there, and I was interning at a Faithy church in their youth ministry. It was so funny. So my mom was like, when I'm having this like breakdown, I'm broken. My mom was like, Raj, you should come to church with me. You should come to church with me. I'm like, fine, Mom. I'm like, all right, fine, I go. And I went. And it was the very first week at Faithy. The pastor, Steve Strutz, gets up and he's talking about this little survey that the church took. And he was telling the church the results of this survey. It was like the lowest mark was a passion for God's word. The lowest mark in the church. And he started kind of tearing up and crying. He was like, if you guys don't have a passion for God's word, I failed you as a pastor. And I was like, well, you're the kind of pastor I want to follow.
That's
just that,
the
guy that stands up with full of emotion. Yeah. It's like, I failed you if you don't. And I'm like, I'm like,
crazy.
you're my guy. Yeah. You're my guy. And so I was like, I wanna keep coming to church here. Well, right after that service, someone comes up to me that I knew from back in the day, and they're like, Raj, you're here. He's like, hey, we do this internship in the youth department. You should think about signing up for that. And I was like, okay, no, I'm good though.
Right?
I'm
I'll pray
still like basically hungover from my divine spanking that I got. Like, you don't want me right now. You don't want me. And then as I'm about ready to leave, somebody else that I knew from back in the day was like, Roger, hey, we had this internship in the youth department. I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but you don't want me. I'm kind of messed up. Like, I'm broken, And then I get a call 3 days later from somebody else that I knew from back in the day. That was 10, 15.
Like super random.
Yeah. Wow. Like, hey, you've been on my heart lately. We had this internship in the youth department. I'm like, okay, God.
What the heck is going on?
Get the message, right?
Okay, fine, I'll do it.
I get it.
Third time. So I was like, yeah, all right. And so I jump on. I'm an intern with them. I'm finishing up school. going into my senior year, and I'm helping coach little guy football, and our quarterback the quarterback of our little guy football team, his mom attended Faith E too, and so I knew the mom. I knew the kid. We were in the Rocky Bowl. It's the championship. It's a big deal. Okay. We're in the Rocky Bowl. We lose on a Hail Mary. Super painful.
No.
But afterwards, Jens, our quarterback, the little guy, right, is there. Family comes up, and I'm like, oh, hey, Diane, that's the mom, oh, hey. And then I see the sister, and I'm like, hello. I was like, I could get to know you a little bit. And then we got married.
What?
And so
that was
just,
yeah. What's it? Pink hair and everything.
Yeah, she didn't have pink hair at the time.
Okay.
No, that's a new thing in the last year. So
that's how you guys met, the football.
Yeah, the football game. I was like, hello, I could get to know you. And then
and then now you have
and
3 kids.
now we have 3 kids.
Nice.
So anyway,
nice.
and so we internship is wrapping up. I did that for 3 years. I graduated from college. I married a beautiful lady, and then Faithy was like, "Hey, you're done with this internship. How would you like to be our youth pastor?"
Wow.
And junior high youth pastor. So I'm gonna jump in there as a junior high youth pastor. Then
Full time.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And then the high school youth pastor steps out and they're like, "Raj, we want to give you junior high and high school."
Both.
And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Youth group is growing.
Right.
We have 300 kids in this youth group.
Holy smokes.
And I'm taking things on, this like more responsibilities growing. The more you take on, and you're leading trips and winter retreats and summer camp, all these different things. You have kids, and I'm doing seminary, and I'm doing my graduate work.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I just can't. After 10 years of doing youth ministry at Faith
That's a long time.
is a very long
Because,
time.
yeah, that's a long time.
Statistically speaking, a youth pastor will stay at any given church for 14 months.
Really?
I would say. 14 to 18 months.
Wow.
So after
That's
a
impressive.
decade
That's
of
crazy.
that, a decade of junior high all-nighters,
Yeah.
that would kill a man. and so
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
I walk into Faithy, sit down with the lead pastors there, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And I felt like Abraham. I have no job lined up. I have nowhere to go. At this point, I have a wife and some kids, and like, what the heck am I gonna do? But I knew I couldn't keep doing that.
Yep.
And so I step out, and right as I step out, I get a call from Yellowstone Christian College, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for someone to be a theology professor and dean of students, and we heard you're not at Faith E. Come join us." And I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
And so I went over there, and really love that. I love teaching. It's my heart.
Right.
It's a passion of mine. It's the classroom.
Yep.
Love the students over there. It was a great time. And I'm torn because there's this thing called the church. It's the greatest movement this world has ever seen. I believe in it and I love it.
Yeah.
And there's the classroom, and I love that.
Right.
And I have like a little tug of war in my heart. And it's like, oh, I'm in the church. I want to teach. If I'm teaching, I'm like, oh, the church.
Right.
And so, I'm teaching, and I tell Jess, I was like, is it time to get into ministry again? She's like, yeah, I think it might be time to jump into ministry.
What was the, so you got done with Faith E?
Yep. Jump onto Yellowstone Christian College and teach there.
But how long was it in between?
It was a couple
Faith E
years.
And ministry again? With elevation.
Okay, so it was Faith E, and then about a month or so, and then Yellowstone Christian College.
Right.
Wow.
And then about 2 years at Yellowstone Christian College. And what made us think, like, is it time for ministry, is the president at Yellowstone Christian College was retiring.
Okay.
And so I was like, he's my guy. I love this guy, and there's gonna be a new guy in, and maybe this is an opportunity for us to look at something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and maybe not. Like, you can say, well, I love YCC.
Sure.
I could have stayed there.
Right.
But we're like, well, let's see what's out there. Maybe ministry. We have a heart for ministry.
Yep.
We love the
Yeah.
church, and so let's just look into that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, my wife's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, anything but lead pastor. Like, I'll be associate pastor, teaching pastor, anything but lead pastor. And she's like, okay. She's like, okay. But she's like, for the record, I think you could do it. I think you could be a lead pastor. I was like, dang it, Jess.
Don't say that.
I don't say, I know where this is going to go now. So I fill out like 10 application resumes all over the country, sent them out. And it was like the next day, Dave Carroll, who was the lead pastor at Elevation Church, called me up and he was like, hey, bud.
Did you apply there?
No, there was no opening.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jess and I were like, we have this heart for ministry and this call into ministry. Let's just see what's out there. And I applied for every associate pastor job I could find.
Yeah.
Not one lead pastor job. Didn't want to do that. But Jess thinks I could. And I was like, oh crap. So I sent those out for the associate pastor positions. The very next day, like Dave calls me up and he's like, hey man, I have this medical issue. I need to be down. I need warm weather. It's like this thing with his eyes.
Crazy.
And he was like, I can't be here anymore. I have to move back down south. How would you feel about being the lead pastor at
Oh
Elevation?
my god.
And I'm like,
dude.
it's funny you mentioned that.
Wow.
It was like we were just talking about getting into ministry again, and I just filled out all these applications for associate pastor positions, and the one thing I wasn't going to do
Right.
is be a lead pastor, and here
There
we
you
are. And I think it's not necessarily that I didn't want to be a lead pastor, like that's the last thing I would
Sure.
ever. I think it was more of a feeling of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the heaviest feeling in the world that you hold these things in your hand that are it makes you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm supposed to lead this church and lead the staff and try to cast this vision and this mission and these things that's like it is very humbling and very scary, and your inadequacies just start bubbling to the top. And I was like, I don't ever want to do that. And after Jess is like, yeah, but I think you could. That's when you start flipping through your Bible and you see all these people that God uses that weren't qualified,
Not even close.
weren't good enough,
Yeah.
weren't smart enough.
That's the whole
that
thing,
you
Bible,
see,
like,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, all of my excuses are not good enough. And so we started on this journey of like, hey, what does it look like to be a lead pastor at Elevation? And here we are.
From when Dave called you to you being the lead pastor, what was that? Was there like a
Couple months.
couple months?
Yeah, it was a couple months of, having to meet with the boards and
Right.
having to do all the personality tests or this or that,
Yeah.
or doing but it was, I would say, about a month or two or so of kind of working everything out.
Yeah.
And
Did you know anything about Elevation at that point?
yeah, so after stepping out at Faith E, we're like, well, this is the only church we've ever gone to. Like, what else is out there? And so we went to Faith Chapel one time, and then we knew about Elevation because of Yellowstone Christian College.
Oh, sure.
I was a professor there. Dave was on the board at YCC, and so I knew him, and he invited us, and so we checked it out. We're like, yeah, there's really nice people, great people, great church, great heart, great drive for ministry. We're like, we could see ourselves here.
Yeah.
Just kind of fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so,
And that was before you got asked.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so there was a little season there where we stepped out of Elevation. We were at Elevation, and then we stepped out for probably about a year because I had a buddy at Hope Evangelical Church that just needed some help in ministry. His wife was really sick, and so I stepped in over at Hope to help out. So I was gone for like that little season, but Dave and I still remained tight, and so that's how it happened.
That's cool. I wanted to go back to when you said Jess called you out and like, hey, I think you could do this like lead pastor thing. Like, has she always kind of been that, like, supportive, like, and going from, like, youth pastor to MSU to, like, all these different things, like, just, like, share a little bit about, like, your relationship with that, like,
With
you know, was
Jess.
there any, like, conflict with that? Like, did she have,
No.
like, I mean, she always, like supportive, like, yeah. Like,
She is
do
the
this.
most supportive person in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I come
Awesome.
home from youth group, you know.
Yeah.
It was like in January. I come home from youth group and I'm like, I was like, babe, I don't know. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I just, it's kind of eating my soul. And I just feel like my time in youth ministry is done. And she's like, all right, well then let's resign and go find something else. I was like, I just can't go resign. Like, we need to make sure that we have another job. And she was like, Raj, we got this. And that was the moment where I'm like my wife believes in me.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife has my back. My wife is supportive.
Yeah.
And we do got that. And the whole, like, in a nutshell, what she's saying is like, do you believe, as we talked that day, she's like, do you believe in the sovereignty of God?
Right.
Well, yeah, I do. Well, then do what he's calling you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's funny, we believe in the sovereignty of God
Yeah.
until we don't.
Right.
You know, until we're like, but I don't have control of this.
Right.
You
It makes me
know?
like, thinking about one question like that gives you peace or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she, every step of the way, she's just a rock, and just so supportive.
Not only supportive, but it sounds like she also brings you to a place of what you can do and what the Lord can do through you. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
good.
she said that, you know, I believe that you can do this.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to, but she's lifting you from here to,
Yeah.
you know, I believe in you.
there's things that my wife says to me that's like, in the last, you know, several years in our relationship, we've been married
Yeah.
10 years, and I'm seeing this thing. I'm seeing her. There comes points where she says something where I'm like, that's not from you. You know,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
things that she says that's like,
Interesting.
all of a sudden will be like, I don't want to say like nothing she says is profound all the time,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she'll say this like such profound thing, that's like, I should listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
like,
interesting.
that almost makes me go, I see God's hand on it a little bit on this
Right.
one. And it's every time she says it, and I'm like, it makes me go, huh.
Interesting.
Always plays out the way that I'm like, yeah. And so she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome. And
Love
there's
that.
just been so many times along the way, babe, we got this.
Yeah.
If this is, don't worry. Put that resignation
Yeah.
letter in. Hey, we are gonna work through this. We're a couple. We're gonna make it. I got your back. I'm like, man, you're amazing.
Right.
The hey, let's check out different ministry, you know, and it's like, check out churches. Let's get plugged back into ministry. I want to be associate pastor, babe. I think you have what it takes to be a lead pastor.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is one of those moments again. I can tell,
Right.
and here we are.
Right.
You know, there's so many things like
That's
that
amazing.
along the way
That's
where I'm
cool.
like, she's amazing.
That's awesome.
I know we talk about this
Love that.
quite a bit, like surrounding yourself with people who pretty much like taking out who's your core group of people, taking out the people
Yeah.
around you that just bring negativity and bring you down, all these things, and bringing the core people around you that do what your wife is doing.
Yeah. I mean,
One,
they
if
say
you're
you're.
married, your spouse, as well as
Mm-hmm.
men or women, if you're, you know, your woman, whatever that is.
I mean, that there's a saying that you become like the 5 people that you hang around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
You,
So
you are
that's
who
so
you hang
true.
out with. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like who are your 5 people that you're closest to?
Yeah.
What are they like?
Yeah, I love that. I love what you guys are saying, and it's true. My wife is one of them,
Yeah.
obviously. But not people that it's a balancing act there.
Yeah.
You have people that will bring you down,
Yep.
and there's people that bring you up, but they bring you up maybe sometimes in an unhealthy way.
Yeah. Sure.
They'll just tell you whatever you want to hear,
Yeah.
whatever makes you happy,
Right.
you know, whatever.
You
But
can
they don't
be
give you
whatever you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But they don't give you the truth about
Yeah.
things, you know.
That's
And
good.
so to have those people, and my wife is one of them. That's
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna take you down just for the sake of taking
Sure.
you down. You know, I'm gonna build you up. You know, but at the same time, I'm gonna tell you sometimes what you need to hear, and she's
Yeah.
not afraid to be like, Raj, wait, that was stupid. You know, like that was a really, you know, and you
A couple times a day, I mean.
You need
Lots
for
of
me, lots of times, yeah. Oh my gosh.
No.
Like, yeah, and so there's, you know,
Yeah.
there's things that, you know, I'll say something because
Sure.
I'm an idiot. Sometimes I let my mouth just go,
Right.
and she'll be like, "You can't say that. You can't do. That's a really bad thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
Right? But so, you know,
Yeah.
you need those people in your life that don't bring you down, but
Yeah.
also don't let you come up here and think of yourself as greater than you actually are.
Yeah.
Someone that brings a
That's
sense of
all.
humility that will humble you so you're not up here, but not humble you
Right.
to the point that they want to bring you down
Right.
here.
Yeah.
You know, and
Even
that's,
ideas, like if you have an idea and the idea sucks, I
yeah,
don't want somebody to be like,
Yeah.
like if I start singing and people are like, oh, go to American, American's Got Talent,
yeah,
So-
you need someone to be like,
No, bro,
this is
don't.
not your gift, man.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way of having people in your life that speak too highly of too highly of you, or like
Yeah, it's good.
give you too much false positivity, I guess.
Mhm.
And that's really good. It's a good word.
Well, especially if you are someone like me, where I could be an idiot
Right.
with
Yeah.
what I do, what I say. I'm so quick to just be be an idiot, you know.
Right.
and so people like me that has a tendency to, oh, I need people like that. To be
Yeah.
like, Raj, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't go there, you know.
Right.
And so yeah, my wife is she's gold,
It's awesome.
just gold.
The other question we had is, I don't know if you have to think about it that much. You might have to, but I don't want to mess up this question, so you might have to help me out. But if you could sum up, so essentially every job, every person, you live your life to try and fulfill something, the purpose. So I'm a roofer. My one need that I'm fixing is no leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially that's the problem. The problem is with a roof, it's leaking. I'm gonna fix that problem.
What problem do you solve?
So what problem
Okay.
as Roger Dayton do you
So
solve with one? But you can only use one word.
yeah. So answer this question with using one word. And like I said, it's a pretty big question. I've just heard in the
I'm
last couple
still
weeks.
thinking about it.
And so the question is, what problem do you solve? Or what problem do you believe that you're called to solve? Like your purpose of like, and if you can answer with one word.
With one word.
And I don't know. That's like, it's a pretty
Did you come
deep,
up with one for
I don't
you?
know if I came up with one because I have to really give it some thought. And
The only one that I thought of
It's a
that might
pretty-
be close was just like obesity for me, but like at the same time,
yeah,
I don't know if it would quite work because I'm passionate about fitness and health and taking people from obesity to being able to live functional lives.
yeah.
So that's kind of the idea.
So
If that makes sense.
does it need to be, or could it be like a problem, an issue maybe like in my life that I need to address, or
No,
or
I don't think
Yeah, I don't think that was the intention
So a problem-
of the question.
A problem in the world.
oh, in the world?
Yeah, so
Okay.
like what problem do you solve like around you, like maybe in the world, your community, like what do you feel like your, I guess the big thing
Purpose.
is like why are you here, what do you feel, and that's a big question,
I would say, putting after a good minute thought into that,
Yeah.
so like it's definitely changed by tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I would say you could probably. I'm gonna give you two words.
Okay. We'll
And I think
allow
they can probably tie together
Sure.
a little bit. But relationship and community.
Yeah.
I think, and this is one I'm going to use a personal thing, but also a church thing, and also a world thing.
Yeah.
It's relationship and community. So
Yeah.
there's different layers to that.
That's
The church should be driven by the relationships, discipleship, community of believers, a church, a body.
Yeah.
And sometimes we could be so focused on maybe coming into church, singing a song, hearing a few words, and then I'm going to get in my car and go.
Don't get lost in the background.
And God never designed, Jesus never designed this church to be background noise, come sit for an hour and then leave. It was designed that we be in relationship with one another, community. That's how the church was designed, and that's how was what we're called to be as believers, as followers of Jesus. And so I think that is but it's a problem in the church, especially in a church in America today. It's all about how I feel. I want to feel happy. I just want to feel like I could just go, but we never want to have tension. We never want to really dig deeper. Deeper with relationship and community. We know accountability, some of those kind of things. So I think as a church, I see that as an area like, we got to make sure that we're strong in that. We got to push that, because it's very easy to fall in that area. And I'll say that for me personally, it's easy. I'm an introvert. When I get up on stage, I act very extroverted, but it takes it out of me. And then I have to run home and be alone because that fills my cup up, so I can get enough energy and to go out and do it again. I find myself maybe sometimes pulling away and not making relationships and community my top priority, which is a problem that I have. That's a leaky roof that I need to fix. And so those are the words I think that's really
if I could bring something to the table here, something I really appreciated when you guys had that membership, or not membership, kind of
questionnaire.
Questionnaire kind of thing of meeting with staff and bosses and whatnot to talk. And Michael, you guys talked about why you guys don't have membership. You guys have ownership, something like that. So that whole thing was that's so good. You know, it's not about. And maybe you want to explain a little more.
Yeah, so a membership. If you're a member at a country club, you know, where you go and hey, you sit down, you have people serve you and wait on, go play a round of golf. You know, you're a member at this place. Ownership. If you are an owner, you go to work every day. You know, if you're an owner, you are invested in this thing, and you have there's so much of you that is a part of this, and you work at it. You know, and so that's the heart of our church. It's not a member church. It's not one where you just it's not a country club. Sit and let people serve you. Man, if you're a part of this Elevation family, you have ownership into it, and you're going to work, and we're on this mission to introduce people to Jesus.
And you feel that. I mean, I know when I first came to Elevation, you can sense people have ownership of that church. They're not just going there, like you said, checking off a thing and hearing a talk and going home. You know, they're being intentional with serving coffee or greeting people at the door or whatever it is. You know, sound system and worship. There's some type of intentionality there. You know, it's
so there's a lot of churches that have just a huge amount of staff. You know, it's all right, well, this staff member is going to be doing this and this and this and that, all these things. We look at things a little different. We don't have a lot of base staff. We have a lot of volunteer staff. We have a lot of. It's not, because it's not hey, if there's a difference between serving and having a job and getting paid. You know, and so we offer people an opportunity to serve. We give people an opportunity to wash feet. We give people an opportunity to not do a job so you can get a paycheck, but you could show up to serve, take ownership over a certain area, whatever that might be,
Yeah.
and wash people's feet
I love that.
and love them. And so that's kind of our
Yeah.
which is great. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
so great because you see people truly serving,
Yep.
not out of a paycheck,
Right.
because they love people
Right.
and they want to see people far from God come alive in Christ.
Yeah.
At the same time, it makes things a little bit more difficult because, well, if people are getting a paycheck, they're going to be there.
Right.
and so sometimes it makes it a little bit more difficult, but I would take some of the difficult things
Sure.
Sure.
if that's what it takes to allow people
Yeah.
to really, really
Yeah.
serve and
That's
take
so
ownership over a church.
Huh.
Yeah.
I want to ask a theological question.
All right, we got a theological question.
Yeah.
You have one?
Well.
I have a different one.
Okay.
Go with yours.
Okay.
This
So.
is gonna backtrack. Mine was gonna backtrack, which I might go back to it later.
so-
I don't know.
Good theological question. You probably got asked this many times. Question is, why do bad things happen to good people?
Okay, so first off, I want to tell everyone that's watching this right now, they did not ask me this ahead of time. I asked for a list of questions, like, hey, hit me up with some of the questions you're going to be asking me for this podcast. Not once. They didn't give me one. And so not only did they not give me one, oh, just, hey, tell us a little bit about your story. Oh, yeah, I can handle my story. But then they throw, hey, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Gosh, you guys.
Boom.
Okay, I
Snap.
think you're starting off. I think you're starting off with a very faulty foundation there. If you believe that people are good.
That's good.
Yeah.
First of all, the Bible says that no one's good.
Yeah.
You know, no, we're not good people.
Mhm.
Sure.
And here's I
Absolutely.
love that. I forgot where I heard this before. It was. I forgot where it was, but this guy was like, all right, I'm gonna ask you a question, just some random
Yep.
non-Jesus follower guy.
Yeah.
Like, right, this is a scale of like, hey, perfect to like worst sinner ever.
Yeah.
Okay? Where do you place yourself on this list? How good are you?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and so this guy was like, oh, I'm a pretty good person. I mean, like, so this is like Osama bin Laden,
Right.
like Hitler,
Right.
you know,
Yep.
those people, and then you have like Jesus here,
Yeah.
you know. And so where are you on the good list? And this guy's like, I put myself like probably up here. I'm a pretty
7,
good person.
8.
They would say, yeah,
Yeah.
7, 8,
out of
8.
10.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
kick my dog this week or
Right.
anything. You know, I put myself up there.
Hmm.
And then this guy was like, they're like, just so you know, after he marked himself,
Right.
just so you know, Billy Graham and Mother Teresa were asked this question, and you know where they put themselves?
Yeah.
Right here. This is like, they put themselves down here. So Mother Teresa is right here.
Yep.
Billy Graham is right here.
Hmm.
And you say you're up here? And he was like,
Wrong answer.
Wrong
I
answer.
love it.
And the whole point is, we're not good.
Yeah, that's so
We're
good.
sin,
That's
our,
the greatest.
we have this sin nature that's like everything about us
Yeah.
is wicked. The
Right.
only good that is in me is not me,
Yeah.
is Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yes.
and so I think we need to. That needs to be our foundation.
Yep.
That before we answer any more questions, is that we're not good people. We're sinners.
Yeah.
We all need Jesus, and there is no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a funny story about
No,
it,
it's so
but
good.
there is no scale of good
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
There is Jesus, and then after that, there's evil.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
There's not good.
It's a good
And
word.
so we all fall in there.
Yeah, I heard this saying once. It was like,
So true.
all I am is just one beggar showing another beggar where to find bread. And it's just like,
I think,
That's so good.
and so that's our first, that's our foundation piece.
Mhm.
Is that Jesus is good, God's good,
Yep.
we're not.
Yep.
The next point, I think the real question is, I think even more profound question that we could ask is not why does bad things happen to good people, the more profound question is, why does good things happen to bad people?
Mm.
That's a more
Yeah.
profound question because
I agree.
I mean we're getting into God's grace.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
that is one that's like, God, why did you give a sinner like me grace?
Yep.
Why did you, someone that doesn't deserve it,
Yeah.
why have you given me this? And
Wow.
that's a question that is even harder to answer.
Yeah, I agree.
And so
That's good.
and ultimately
good.
at the end of the day, it's not, God's not up there with like a magnifying glass, you know, like, oh, here's some bad people down there, I'm gonna make sure that are good people down there, I'm gonna try to, you know, that's not our God. The truth of the matter is, He made us good.
Yeah.
In the Garden of Eden, He made Adam, He made Eve, it was good. We went rogue.
Yeah.
We brought sin into the world.
Yeah.
We brought brokenness.
That's so good.
We brought bad things into the world. And so that question has been around for
Forever.
Yeah.
is so faulty at its core.
Right.
Yes.
But when we reframe that
Yeah.
and shift it a little bit, we see, because that is used to
Yep.
It's just
throw stones at God.
Yep.
When really, when we reframe that, it's like, oh my
What's
gosh.
that ownership thing?
What's the grace of God is more like.
Right.
So
And that's one of the reasons we used it is because we feel as though, like you said, people have used it for years and years, since the beginning, in a way to point at God and be like, look at your God, He's not good. And just like, I love your explanation. I do love everything about it, and that's one of the reasons we asked is because we pretty sure what your answer was going to be, and if it wasn't that, we were just going to try to.
Wrong answer.
Oh, that's some heresy there. We'll cut that one.
But I also love
Is there anything else you guys want to ask? I mean, should we just for once and for all let's Calvinism, Arminianism, predestination, free will?
Right now, give your answer.
Yeah,
let's do
It
it.
should be down it's the wrong one, but
For like the last 2,000 years, we argued this. But
Right.
Billings, Montana, we got the
We
answer.
got it
Yes.
out right here. Flexy Bros
Yeah.
with Rev Raj. We're figuring it out right now.
Here's one that
Settle it.
on
wait, are you gonna ask us one? What? Oh
no, we could do the whole. This is one
We have
that
to do
so
another episode.
people have
Take
asked me
two.
this one, the
Gosh.
predestination, in
Yeah.
like school, when
Yeah.
I'm doing the teaching thing.
Oh, that's the best.
Professor Raj, hey, explain predestination and free will, and I'm like, you guys. But here's one that I always love to, somebody will ask me a question, I'll ask a question back at them that leaves them going like, gosh, I really don't know now, because I don't think we don't know.
Yeah.
So you have this like predestination, which is, God has elected you before you were born. He went through, like, all right, you are going to be a follower of Jesus. You're going to be saved. You're not. There's election. There's free will that says, I will choose when I choose. It might be tomorrow. It might have been 10 years ago. It might be yesterday.
Right.
And so I always challenge students with this one. That's the main underlying factor here that we look at on this is like, well, God chose back then. Gotcha. Before I was born. Back then, before, free will says, well, I get to choose today. I'll choose tomorrow. Oh, I chose to follow Jesus 10 years ago. What's the common factor there? It's time. It's time. Well, God elected us before. Well, free will, I chose to follow Jesus 10 years ago. It will be tomorrow. And the one thing that we know of God in Scripture is He's outside time. We're arguing something here, a time factor.
That doesn't even.
It's like, well, God's outside of it. So
Doesn't make
maybe
sense.
one's right, maybe the other's right, maybe we're both wrong.
Right.
And so I like to drop that one on students, and then they're
Right.
like, oh, we don't. And that's
I didn't get nowhere.
I think the more you know, the more you don't know.
Oh yeah.
And it's
True.
it's a great thing when we as people, whether we're whether it's a pastor, whether it's a professor, whether it's lay people, whether it's whoever it is, to say, you know what, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. God knows,
Yeah.
and thank goodness He knows, because we don't know a lot of things, and shame on us for pretending to think that it's like one, it's either this or it's this,
Black
or
and white.
maybe God's up there laughing like, you guys, both you guys, you don't even realize what I'm doing here, and we need to be okay with that.
I feel like anytime
Yeah.
when anybody just like argues and fights about things like that, it's just like it's not helping anything.
Well, and it's
You know what I mean?
it's not the core. We're not called to answer theological questions on predestination or free will.
Sure.
We're called to tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
And that needs to be our core and our mission. Let all those other stuff. Let God figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to sit there and argue it. We don't need to split churches about that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we tell people about Jesus? How do we get them connected in there and be a part of this body and relationship and community where we have people just loving Jesus, following Him, and trying to be in step with God in this book. You know, it's like how do we become disciples and followers of this? That's our mission. That's our goal. Not arguing about secondary, third.
Yeah.
So
I think it's great. I don't think it's wrong to like wonder those things and dig after them because it causes you to search.
Good stuff.
And dig into it and
Good
go
stuff.
after it and figure it.
But if it's your primary focus,
Right.
and if you lose your mission,
Yep.
because you're so focused on this thing, and
Right.
it's splitting churches.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, guys,
Yeah.
it's hard.
If I could interject here, you're talking about like we're here to like proclaim Jesus, and like one of the I don't know what message it was when you talked about, and maybe it was in that whole Monday night thing, which is so good by the way. Like I love the teachings, but when you talked about like we don't need to win those like theological arguments. Like just tell the story of Jesus. Like He can speak for
That was a
Himself.
sermon. Remember?
That was a sermon. Like let Jesus speak for Himself. Like you don't have to.
Come and see.
I don't think we have to like try
What
and
you said.
like representing Him as well as we can, but like just tell stories.
I don't
Like,
remember saying
tell
that, but it
miracles.
sounds
I don't know,
brilliant.
like you know what I mean?
I
Like
think essentially the word you used was like come and see.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
yeah.
necessarily like
So-
let's win this argument. It's just like okay, well, just come and see.
Jesus, like
Yep.
he'll
Come and
prove
see what He's
himself,
doing.
Like
I believe that was in.
Come and see what He's doing.
Yeah, I believe that was in Mark, and he is.
I don't know the answer. Just come and see.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Jesus calls Andrew, and Andrew becomes this disciple, this follower of Jesus, and he runs in and tells his brother,
oh
Pete,
brother,
he says,
yeah.
Pete, you
Oh
gotta
yeah.
check this out. I found the guy, I found the Messiah. I was like, oh, I'm sure you did. The guy everyone's been looking for like thousands of years. You found him, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, just come see. He's like, he didn't try to argue with him, just come and see.
Yeah.
And took him to go see Jesus. Peter, Andrew, followers.
No argument.
And then you have the story of Nathaniel and I'm losing my mind right now. I have to. And he's like, it's like, oh yeah, I found the Messiah. I found it. He's from Nazareth. He's like, nothing good comes from Nazareth. Nothing good comes from Nazareth. He's like, oh yeah, just come see.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say like he didn't try to
They tried
argue
to
with them
defend
like,
it, oh,
yeah, you don't
stuff
have to,
comes out of Nazareth.
you don't have to fight people. You don't have to argue with people. It's just
Yeah.
they come and see this Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's super good.
That's so good.
I think we're probably where you're at in time.
Yeah. I don't even know
Not that we
what it is,
necessarily have
but,
time limit that much, but.
what the other questions we have?
On a job.
We got
Just
here.
edit
That's
it.
kind of that. Wrap it up.
Well, I got questions today. I could talk all night.
Is that another? This
So
could be a
fun.
long theological question.
Huh? I had one, but it goes back
That's gonna
to
go too long. What else we got?
probably. I mean, we
We
could. I want to ask him it anyway, but we can do it after.
could do that.
You could do like credit, like the blooper reel.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
That's true.
And then blooper reel.
Oh, so I don't think this will be too long of a question, but if you had a billboard that you could put up along a main intersection, main road and it would be displayed for a month, what would you put on it? Picture, words, a quote, whatever it was, your face, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, what would you put on that billboard?
Hopefully it's your face.
You didn't have to pay for it or anything.
The big billboard sitting right down there by the metro. Yeah. We're Times Square.
Yeah, New York City.
I would. I don't know. Think about like my favorite Bible verse or something. I don't know. Like my favorite Bible verse, but then I'm like, oh man, maybe there's like some.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You know?
You know?
Epstein didn't commit suicide.
Wait, what?
Epstein didn't commit suicide. You need to watch Fox News. Come on, guys. Come on.
I've seen so many memes.
Oh, I know, right?
About that. Have you seen any? You have no idea.
You have no idea.
Give it a little background.
Yeah, I don't watch news.
So like, yeah, this
Memes,
Oh, dude.
Memes.
So yeah, this guy. Yeah,
I have to look him up.
Kill himself.
Alright.
Yeah, I've seen him kill himself. That's what my billboard
That's what
would
your
be.
billboard
Yeah.
would be.
Oh man, I love that. Sweet. This has
That's
been
so
super good.
Yeah.
Super good conversations and
No other theological
Appreciate
questions.
it.
That's it.
Oh, I have more. There's tons of them.
Yeah, we'll do.
But we can
part 2 or
do all
something.
night.
Second
Yeah, do
episode.
it
I don't
last
know. I'll have
month
to
or
get
something.
together again.
Volume 2.
No, we appreciate
Volume
this.
two.
It's been good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen again.
Good talks.
If you let us. It's gonna happen again.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.
Sweet.
Happy Flexy Friday. Thank you, Pastor Raj.
Thanks, guys.
Rev Raj.
It was a hoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Raj, enjoy it. Enjoy you.
Some questions
as a
we
person.
didn't get answered, but
I like how you guys for these videos have your short shorts with those muscular
yeah.
Telos fitness legs.
By the way, hey, you should come check out Taylor sometime.
Hey.
You guys always try to get
Thanksgiving,
that. Justin Shaw. was
That's the
always
first
trying
time
to
I
get
ever
that.
asked you to come.
Dolan tried to get all those guys, and I need to. I know.
Come check it out.
Burn the bird. Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah,
Free
full
fan.
workout. Thanksgiving
Check.
morning.
She'll love it.
Oh, yeah, they got daycare.
Oh yeah.
It's Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah.
We're actually hosting our whole.
Oh.
We have 40
yeah.
40 people
Oh,
in
yeah.
this house.
That's it sounds like your church excuse. Oh, I had this thing.
Sorry guys,
I'm sure.
I'm busy praying that
Yeah.
morning, old pastor.
Yeah, we were gonna go live
Of course.
as we pulled up. We started watching TV. Be like, that's what's on studying, watching TV.
Yeah.
So we didn't.
Got him.
Busted. Anyway,
Cool.
Sweet. That's it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I do have another theological